quantities of bamboo fruit have fed 3 distinct birth pulses. The first increased the population from 100 to about 600. A second pulse in June pushed the number up to 1,000 rats. Now in early August, they are in a reproductive frenzy, almost quadrupling the horde to 4,000. A fourth pulse will create a ravenous army of close to 12,000 rats. When that fourth pulse hits, the remaining fruit on the forest floor will have germinated and be inedible. Rice in the field will be the rats' only option. But which will come first? The fourth pulse of rats or Moya's harvest?
Might just move around so we can make a bigger circle. Watch out for the gully.
To figure out where that fourth pulse is, Ken needs to find pregnant females.
All right, let's go.
He stages a rat drive at the base of Moya's field to catch some.
There's one. Great big pregnant female black rat. Oh, full of babies. Full of babies. Yeah.
Dissection reveals a breeding machine in overdrive.
These are the embryos and the placenta. She was already nursing a litter, and those young that she was nursing would have to be kicked out of the nest when this litter is born.
There are usually a few weeks between litters. During Mautam, there is no break at all. This female was due in a week. Ken believes this litter could be the fourth pulse, the critical tipping point that would almost guarantee destruction of the crops in about 1 month's time. And in a month, the heads of the rice will ripen from green to yellowish brown. Moya is at his jum field around the clock, watching his rice. It is almost ready. Ken suspects that at the bottom of Moya's field, a fourth pulse of rats may be ready too. That night, Ken tries to determine how many rats are operating in this field.
Rats everywhere watching us.
In the dark, he faces an almost invisible enemy.
Listening out over the rice field, there's a whole mass of different sounds.
He deploys an ultrasonic surveillance system to do a kind of audio census. Black rats communicate through a series of high-frequency sounds.
And I'm hearing little clicking, random kind of clicking noises coming from up in these trees and nowhere else.
The rats make this high-pitched click.
And I suspect that's baby rats communicating with their mothers.
Ken estimates that several thousand rats are spread between burrows and tree nests, chattering through the night. It doesn't bode well for Moya's crop. Though it's not yet ripe, the rice at the bottom of the field has already been devastated. It's an ominous sign.
It's not surprising given how many burrows we've got there, James, but look, the rice is just about all gone here. Yeah. Look at all these cuts. They won't get any harvest really off here. Yeah. Just completely trashed.
Moya knows he's losing rice every night, but he thinks the crop needs one more day to ripen. It's a high-stakes bet because his family's cupboard is almost bare.
This is all the rice we have left, and I think it will only last for this week. It's very important that we harvest whatever paddy we are growing.
Part of me, the scientist part, wants to see it. I've heard about these things for 10 years or more, all over Southeast Asia. I've read about Mautam. I want to see it. I want to see rats swarming through this field, destroying it. Desperately want to see it. But on the other hand, I've got to know Moya and his family and many of the other farmers in Zamazwang here. And the last thing I want is to see them lose their crop, because they're subsistence farmers. If they lose their crop, they're in for a really tough year.
Moya has to make it through one more anxious night. The gamble pays off. The next day, Moya and Mommy finally harvest, with help from neighbors and from Ken.
Really great to be seeing Moya and Mami here harvesting their field, and also to be able to help them in that process. It's quite, quite a thrill.
Although rats ate around a quarter of their crop, Moya and Mommy believe they have enough to get through the next year. They'll be okay. But according to everything Ken has learned, they dodged a bullet. The fourth pulse of rats should have hit here. What accident of timing saved Moya's field? Ken has heard about another village that wasn't so lucky and sets out to see it. He knows this is the last chance in his life to solve this mystery.
It's already midday, James. We may have to spend the night here, I think.
I think so.
In the village of Klangkang, the rats struck when the crops were still in the ground.
I went back to my field 3 days later, and all my rice was gone. And that's the way it was. The rats just destroyed the fields.
When Ken arrives in the village, he's searching for two things: proof of a fourth pulse of rats, and details about when the Mautam began here. But first,